Greetings and welcome to another episode of SPCA Stories. Hope you are all doing well. If you are new to us, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Dawn Fenton, SPCA Monterey County Content and Education Manager. We are coming to you from the SPCA Monterey County Claire Jacobson Learning Center in beautiful Salinas, California. My guest this time is SPCA veterinarian Jen Wernsing. Dr. Jen is one of our exceptional veterinary staff members. From performing life-saving surgeries to comforting animals in our care who are maybe seeing kindness for the first time, Dr. Jen is at the center of so many remarkable moments here at the SPCA. She is all heart and so lovely to listen to. I cannot wait for you to meet her. A quick note. Season 1 of SPCA Stories is coming to a close with this episode. We will take a bit of a hiatus with Season 2 commencing in January. We will continue with the interview-style format. Of course, I still have so many wonderful SPCA folks to introduce to you. We will also be exploring an additional format that we think you will all enjoy, and this format will feature heartwarming stories of animals rescued by your SPCA Monterey County. Another quick note, this episode discusses subjects such as saying goodbye to a beloved pet, humane euthanasia, some detail pertaining to injured animals, and other delicate topics, so please take care while listening. Right off the bat, what do I call you? Are you Dr. Jen?
So I've gone by Dr. Jen all in my professional life.
I thought so.
Yeah, and I kept my maiden name for work. So I'm officially Dr. Wernsing, but I never use it. And even in clinics that call me Dr. Wernsing, it takes 5 times before I recognize it because I never have gone by it. I've always been Dr. Jen. And I just feel like for me, just having that, some of my research in school was on white coat syndrome in animals. And so I just wanted to be as open and available to both my clients and to the pets as possible. And I feel like wearing scrubs and not the white coat and just going by something that's a little bit more like Auntie-Jen is a little bit easier for everyone. So yeah. That's why I use Dr. Jen.
Okay, so Dr. Jen.
Yeah.
Dr. Jen. So introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, goodness. So I'm Jen Wernsing, and I've been with the SPCA for about 1.5 years now, and it has been a really, really, really fun experience. I have been doing emergency and general practice for the past 25 years here on the peninsula, and decided when my boys were just about ready, it was time to come back to work more full time. I really sat for a while and tried to decide what, which of the clinics that I work at do I want to align more closely with, or where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And I really sat and thought for a long time, and I was in fantastic spaces that I love very much. And I realized that my happiest moments were when I was working with rescue or doing some work with shelter. And I think that give back moment, helping the animals that need you most, perhaps, or maybe don't have someone able to help them or speak up for them or, be their person just really, really warms my heart. And since that was bringing such a huge smile to me, I realized, it's time to pivot and follow that. So it's kind of fun. So I'm hoping this is my new pivot into my new, hopefully very long chapter. For this, I've worked with ancillarily with shelter and rescue throughout my career. And I love that. It's always been a way that I built in and gave back, even when I had my own practice. And so now to be able to pivot more fully into this world has been really fun. It's been really amazing. So.
How did we find you? You're a gem, by the way. You are a gem, and I will get into that a little bit more in a second. But how did we find you?
So I'm so very lucky. I'm so very lucky because I'm very shy. So I don't necessarily run out and network a lot and go to lots of meetings or parties or anything like that. But I was lucky enough to have been working at the time with Animal Friends Rescue Project, and they shared my name to you. So when Ashley and Jenny called me and said, hey, we need some relief, when Dr. Riley, one of our former doctors, was out, I came in and was doing some relief work. And then very shortly thereafter, it became apparent that there was going to be an opening a more permanent opening available. And I said, absolutely, sign me on. And so it's been nice. I've been working my way in mostly part-time, but kind of adding more and expanding more. And it's just been really fun. I've been incredibly lucky. I feel like I was at the right spot at the right time in that we needed help both in the clinic at the surgery side and also in the shelter. So I was able to jump into both worlds here with both feet. And that has been really, really fun. Not every relief doctor gets that opportunity here. And so I love that I'm able to do that because both of those two sides of the work we do here, there's so many more parts of the work that we do here, but both of those sides bring me such joy. I love them both.
Well, we are so lucky
Stars
to have
aligning.
We are so incredibly lucky to have you. So what I like to give my interviewees a compliment just to start things off, because this podcast, it originally came about because, of course, it's always about the animals for us. Always, always. It was time that we featured the people who do the work.
Yeah,
because that's so important for people to get to know the people who are doing this amazing work. And so I like to start with a compliment, and it's funny because the Bow Wow breakfast, and we have this it's not a fundraiser. It's for some of our donors. It's a way to thank them, and so we have this big breakfast, and we put on a little program and show our donors what we've been working on and where their funds are going. And you got up to speak and tell some stories and explain some things. And I believe it was Dr. Gnu who called you an angel.
That's so sweet.
And it's amazing because she's so right. You have such a way about you, and you also, one of the things I love is, you send the vet notes at the end of the day when you do your rounds, and at the very bottom, you always include, after you list all of the things, all these animals that you've looked at and all the stuff going on with them. At the very end, you always say something really kind. And a lot of times I will admit, because I get those vet notes too, I go sometimes I'll go to the bottom first to see what you've said.
That is really sweet that you read that. I didn't know if anyone ever did.
You're uplifting. You are so uplifting. And as the people who've been listening to this, there are some hard days and some hard things that you all have to deal with and see and come in contact with. That can be really difficult. And I just so appreciate your positivity and the way that you uplift people and you focus on the positive and you let everybody know how much they are appreciated. And that, I'm not even on the vet team. And I read that and I said, wow, they must feel really amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. You're so kind and love, it's, so yeah, the term angel, it makes a lot of sense.
That is so sweet, Dawn. Thank you. Thank you. That warms my heart, and that means a lot. And I thank you for reading through the notes. Sometimes I wonder if anyone sees them, and almost every time I think I write that. And I think about it, and I think, you know what? It doesn't matter if anyone reads them, because this is my way of pouring forth. And sometimes I call out an amazing thing that one person did or a whole team. And I'm really very blessed. I was interviewing with a student recently, and I realized that I've been in this field for over 40 years, and it kind of shocked me for a second. And then I realized that we are so very lucky, and I have been so blessed to be a part of every single position, at least in a vet clinic. Here it would be nearly impossible to be every single position, but at least touched so many of those areas. And I have a really very deep appreciation for everything that everyone brings to us. And it's very interesting because I think some of the perhaps less glamorous or less acknowledged positions are some of the very hardest. And I appreciate everyone so much. I know what they go through. I just know how hard that can be. And I think bringing back, having a really keen eye to wellness in your teams is so incredibly important. And I feel like if you can bring one smile, if you can impact one life each and every day, you've done your job today. And hopefully a million other things, right? But I think that it's so important that we see each other and that we work together and that we really are kind to each other and realize that we can make such an impact on each other's wellness and each other's hearts.
Yeah.
Because we do so much as caretakers, we pour out so much energy and love for the animals. That's very obvious to see, but I think that we don't always realize on our teams that we can pour out that love to each other and caretake for each other, and that can be part of our wellness as a whole, because it is hard sometimes. It can be very emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
It can be very emotionally draining, and to open up and speak about and talk about and open the door to how everyone's feeling and recognize it, acknowledge it, be there for each other. Even if we have differences in opinions, that's okay. It's just seeing each other is huge. And that was a compliment that I wanted to give back to you, Dawn, also, because I think this podcast I absolutely love. And I love that you not only saw the need and the importance of highlighting everyone, not because we're each shining stars. It's not that. It's what makes all of our team, what brings us together, what commonalities do we have in our passions, but what makes us different.
Yes.
What makes us unique and different can be what makes life so rich and interesting. And I just think that it's so special that you've taken the time to really highlight that there's so many of us behind the scenes. And like I say, especially the ones that might never be really seen very much. I think it's really marvelous to be able to bring everyone's personalities to light. I think that SPCA is so beautifully diverse. I think we do such a nice job at really welcoming diversity and inclusivity. And I just love that about our team. And so I love that we're bringing up, hey, what I bet that as you've done this podcast, you've found these common little threads, these little golden strands that hold us together, but so many amazing differences.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really marvelous. I love that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you said you've been doing this for 40 years?
I've been in the field for 40 years. I actually was shocked when I thought I was like making things up. And then I thought, I started as a kennel tech at like 14. I've been here a long time.
I want to know. We want to know. I want to know. So tell me everything. Tell me everything.
So very interestingly, so I was not the quintessential little girl that grew up riding ponies or knowing that she was going to be a vet. I was that quirky little kid that was upturning every rock, looking for salamanders out in nature every moment, making little bird's nests out of whatever the trees dropped. And the whirly birds and whatever. And so, interestingly, I think that as I went through school and developed interests in medicine or interests in, thought for a hot second, oh, maybe I'll go pre-med, maybe I'll do this, thought maybe I'll go into PT for a little bit. It was interesting because as I realized that I really do love thinking about going into medicine and in some capacity, I really thought hard about all of my interests. And I realized I love nature. I love animals. I love art. I loved bringing everything sort of all together. And I felt like vet med was a really nice way to sort of balance all of those things. Interestingly enough, I went through school. I went to Emory for my undergrad down in Georgia. And then, I was that typical student that went into school, was doing pretty well, but I had advisors that said, oh, you'll never make it into vet school. You need straight A's. And I have had so many student mentees that say the same thing. They think that they have to have straight A's to go to vet school. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do that. I really better rethink this. And so thought, okay, well, I'll get ready for a master's in PT and went into the field, did that. I was still working in the vet field as an assistant also. And, I even made it into my master's where I wanted to go, thought about starting, and I realized I have a pit in my stomach. I need to back off. Something's wrong. Even though I think I would love this, doesn't quite fit. So then I drove myself up from Emory up to UGA and met with the dean himself. It's a nice small school, so it was very friendly in that regard. And the dean met with me himself, and he said, "You know what, Jen, you're from Emory. You've got a great, transcript. Go take your tests and come on back, apply." So that was fantastic. I spent a couple years working full time because I'm old enough that when I went to school, we had to take VCATs, MCATs, and GREs, and it was only held once or twice a year. So it took me a couple years to get all my tests under my belt. And so went through, applied, got into a couple schools, chose Georgia, and I loved it because it was just a perfect fit for me. It was a very kind of a family school. Or we had a class of 80. It wasn't as big as some of the other schools. And I was able to get to know my professors and do research and have opportunities like work for Yerkes Primate Center during school, which was a phenomenal experience.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I've worked my way up from kennel girl to assistant, worked that full time. And it was really nice because by the time I went to vet school, I blossomed and thrived there, couldn't get enough of everything. And as I did research, they wanted to keep me academic, keep me at the university. But I knew because I had worked out in the field that I love practice. I love being out with the patients and the clients so much that it was time to spread my wings in a different way. So I came cross country to do my internship in LA at one of the specialty emergency and surgery practices. So it was very interesting. You got thrown in the deep end and you had to defend your cases to professors or the doctors who wrote your books in the morning.
Wow.
So we got thrown in the deep end very quickly. I learned a ton there. And then after my year in LA, I'm not a city girl, so definitely finding a spot more country was for me. And I drove myself up the one for an interview at the emergency clinic here. And I hit the redwoods I saw the redwoods for the first time down in Big Sur. And I thought, oh, I have to figure out a way to stay here. So I always tease that I just followed my nose until it stuck. And I've been here for 25 plus years. So I love it. And through my time here, I've worked emergency and general practices at several different practices. I built and started my own practice here. And that was a very exciting chapter. And then worked at other practices and decided in the last couple of years to pivot into shelter fully.
We are so lucky to have someone like you on our team. We are just so lucky.
And I'm so lucky to have you. This is probably I've had so many wonderful positions and so many wonderful teams, but this has been such a fun and rewarding adventure every day.
How would you describe the difference between shelter medicine and private practice?
So it's very interesting. I was just explaining this to a student that I was speaking to a couple days ago that's trying to decide between staying or pursuing technician work or pursuing vet school. And it is absolutely intriguing to me. So nothing in veterinary medicine has to get boring. Ever. We are so blessed that we have so much breadth and latitude. We're not pigeonholed early, like I think happens more often in human medicine. And so I feel like we never have to get bored. You can just pivot a little bit and find something new and blossom into a new way. But it's very interesting to me. I think general practice can be somewhat more predictable, I would say, on what you'll see, although vet med lends itself to something brand new every day. I think something that I do miss about general practice is that you get a bit more of that rich, deep human connection with your clients. You get to spend a little bit more time and you really get that brings a lot to your practice and brings a lot to your heart. Interestingly, I think, and perhaps you'll have some, a smaller handful of cases that you really have to think really, really hard about. And then you'll have a whole bunch of cases that you're like, okay, it's fleas and diarrhea. I got this. And allergies. Got this. I know how to do this one. So it's interesting. General practice is a little bit different in that regard. It's a little bit slower of a practice in that regard as well, because you can take your, depending on which practice you're in, I guess I should say. I like to have a practice where I can take time with clients, but not all are like that. Mm-hmm. But typically, it's a little bit of a slower pace and has that little a bit more of the client. I think I can't say the whole practice doesn't. As veterinarians, we get less of the client contact here, but it doesn't mean that our team doesn't get the client contact here. Mm-hmm. We are just so blessed here at SPCA that our client customer care service representatives and that our animal care representatives and our volunteers do an amazing amount of work.
They do.
With the public and with our clients and with potential adopters and with people that are visiting. Mm-hmm. Because they do a lot of that work that we might be doing in a room in mm-hmm. GP. Mm-hmm. In shelter med, it's very exciting because it is can be very fast paced. It can throw challenges at you a little bit faster and a little bit more regularly than you would expect in general practice. We do so very many surgeries downstairs in a day. We do somewhere between like 30 to 50, where in GP you might get 3. So it's a very different world down in surgery. We also have challenges of animals coming in hurt mm-hmm. with wounds or with broken legs or with eyeballs of trouble and need out or something like that. We have just different sorts of challenging cases.
And you don't have an owner. A lot of times that can say, this is what happened to my dog. This is why this happened. It's a mystery that you have to solve.
That's right. Or what is their background? Mm-hmm. Has this happened before? Tell me about them. Tell me their history. Did they have, kidney trouble 2 years ago or not? All of these things, I think it adds a different start from scratch with each patient right here, right now, up keeps you very present mm-hmm. with them because that's sometimes all you have to start with. And so I always tease that we're a little bit doctor and a little bit sleuth or investigator, right? Because you don't always know and our patients can't talk to us. But I think here that does, you're right, increase that challenge significantly. Mm-hmm. But I love that you get to help them so much, and especially ones that come in looking so sad or they're so hurt or they something that really touches my heart is when you can tell that the owners, they're not all just neglected. Sometimes the owners have been trying so hard. Mm-hmm. It's just beyond what they can do.
Yeah.
Some of the patients that are released to us it's not easy. I think it's the greatest gift of love when people bring their animals in, when they realize I can't help them through this or I can't do this, but I'm going to find someone that can help me help them. I think is huge. And so I think that there's just so many interesting challenges on each patient case, and then also a very different set of challenges in the shelter world, in the having so many patients at once, having so many animals at once, and how do you manage that and mm-hmm. keep everyone healthy and safe mm-hmm. and, taken care of when there's dozens and dozens and dozens or hundreds of them. Yeah, so it is interesting how that can be a very different world too. Yeah.
So what's the day-to-day like? I know it's probably different, but generally speaking.
Generally speaking. So it's interesting. Usually we come in as a team and we'll work together. The doctors will work together as well, work with our technicians and assistants to admit all of our surgery patients together, get them all checked out, get their exams done, pre-op lab work, something like that, kind of get them all rounded in and ready. And then we'll have a surgery meeting all together and where we all round in together and say, okay, this is who I looked at. This is what they need. These are the special things about this patient, so that even though we're checking 50 patients, we can all be on the same page and line number about what's going to happen next, mm-hmm. make sure that we're taking care of them the best we can. And then after that, it sort of depends if we're on the surgery team. We usually have 2 surgeons in surgery together. And then you'll roll through cases, and we have amazing technicians, and thank heavens they usually will determine the flow of who goes when. And so typically we'll run through surgeries, and most days we'll do public surgeries, shelter surgeries, sometimes feral cat surgeries when they come in, all on the same day. So we sort of just keep clicking along on those surgeries that we do. We'll usually have at least 1 or 2 special projects in a day, or a dental, some of the items that'll take a bit longer and a bit more to think about for those cases. So we kind of sprinkle those in through as well. And then we just kind of keep working until we get through. And typically that ends up being about a 6-hour surgery day, something along those lines. If you're lucky enough also, both are lucky, but if you're lucky enough also to be the shelter veterinarian that day, you help downstairs, get everybody all started so that we can get surgery started nice and early, and then come upstairs, and then you'll be in charge of checking the shelter animals. And sometimes it's new admissions that come in, seeing if they need surgery, how are their teeth, do they have a mask, do they have anything else that needs to be addressed. Of course, taking care of any animals that come in emergently that need urgent care, or as the day goes along, we have little clues called blue cards that any of our staff members and volunteers can fill out to say, hey, this animal has diarrhea, or hey, this one, I saw some bleeding, or it licked its bandage off, or whatever it is. And so then those can be brought to our attention so we can add those onto our list of things to come through. And on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we'll have ground rounds with at least 1 or 2 team members from across the organization, which is very nice because we have voices from surgery team and the clinic team, voices from the shelter team, voices from the behavior team, and managerial staff. Everyone's sort of coming together so that we can talk about, we walk from cage to cage to cage and all talk about what do we know about this patient together, and where can we go, and how can we help better, and what else needs to be done for this pet to make sure that they get through and taken care of as efficiently as possible so they can get on the adoption ladder.
That's interesting. So yeah, interesting that behavior comes along.
Yeah.
And so how do you work with behavior? How might that work out?
And it's so important. I love that we have ground rounds. I think it's one of the sweetnesses, and it's so smart to have everyone right there at once to talk about things, because otherwise it's so difficult to get this piece of information and this piece of information, this piece of information, and really pulled it all together for each pet. So behavior team will come along, and they do so much work up in the TLC, in the Tender Loving Care building, and work together. But it's very interesting. So if we have a patient that maybe is doing fantastic in the kennel and they've never had trouble with other dogs or anything like that, but we bring them down, let's say, to the clinic, and all of a sudden they're like a little land shark. Right? What is going on? Or it might be vice versa of that, or anything like that. Or they're, maybe they're having more kennel stress for being in the kennel for a couple weeks, and that's mounting. Then it's kind of nice because we can say, okay, this is what I observed. Here's where our challenges are. Can you please work with this patient so that we can make sure that we can get them calmed down or rehabilitated, or work with their, other animal interactions or something like that, so that we can not only make sure that we're keeping all of our animals as happy and comfortable as we can while they're staying with us, but then before they find their forever homes, but also make sure that if there's anything underlying that might be even part of what brought them here, like separation anxiety, or aggression, or anything along those lines, that we really have a keen eye to look to how can we help, and how can we help that. And the behavior team are what now? 6,
5 or 6,
at least 6 or 8 strong. I mean, we have a very large team of highly trained specialists that are working with our animals every single day. And I love that we have so many teams and facets here, because even as a veterinarian, we get trained at a lot of things, but you don't get trained at everything. And your experience level might be very different on certain aspects.
Sure.
Something that gives us so much strength on our veterinary team and our global SPCA team is that not each of us is expected to know absolutely everything about everything. I can say, I know this much, but I need to rely on my behavior team to figure out if this is something that we can help or how we help it best. I need to rely on my large animal team. I need to rely on my wilderness team, my wildlife team to figure out how to help all of these animals I might not work with all the time. And so I love moments like the Bow Wow breakfast and, some of the videos that are put together and put out and things like that, because you really realize, even our monthly newsletter about what's happening in all of our different areas in our teams and highlight what they're doing. I just love that because I think that it is such a joy and pretty amazing to see how each part that we each bring orchestrates together into so much for the community. So much. We have the only wildlife center locally. We have, the only emergency response team locally. We have, so many people working in so many different ways. And I would not be able to even come close to touching being able to do all of those jobs. So we're so blessed to have all that much support behind us.
All of the experts and how they all come together. And it is nice when we can have an event like the Bow Wow breakfast or something like that where we can see what everybody's up to, but to just see how everyone does work together, like with behavior and behavior and maybe there's something medical that is contributing to a behavior.
That's right,
or vice versa. So it's really amazing how you all can come together and talk about those things.
Yeah.
That's indicative of the care that these animals, when they're with us.
Yes.
This is the team. This is the dream team.
Exactly. And it's so common. I would say weekly, for sure. The behavior team will ask us, can you check out this one? This is why. We just want to make sure that there's nothing that's hurting underlying it. So, I just love that that no one will take a behavior and just dismiss it as bad. They say, hey, what's cooking? What's under that? Is it actually something painful or is this behavioral? And then we can kind of start more carefully figuring out how to help that. Yeah,
for sure.
And not just medicate it.
No,
or not just, lay a Band-Aid on it.
No, it's amazing. It's so powerful. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It really is amazing to watch every part of this all come together and find out how, it supports each other. HI's interaction with us and bringing us, cases, and you have to figure out, is this a problem? Is this not a problem? How that all works and to support each other through that. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. And with HI, I mean, there might be something that they need to put in a report.
Yeah. That they do or they saw or they thought, is this, and sometimes it's very interesting. I think my first interaction with HI when I came on was one of my very favorite patients. And they came in and they brought me this poor little kitty that was just, they said, Jen, someone set fire to her head. And it looked like someone had truly set fire to her head.
Aww.
And I thought, there is no way. But it kind of does look like that. Like, okay, put on my thinking cap. Is that there? And took a step back and looked a little bit further and started looking a little bit further. And it ended up being that this poor little kitty, thank heavens, had not been set fire to, but she did have, she had cancer on her ears that had gotten so bad that it had made it look like that. And so after we found that out, that was one of those, on the HI side of things, happier moments that, oh no, it's not as terrible as we were worried.
Yes.
Because that's terrible to think about. Still so hard for her. So we tried so hard and did surgeries and tried to save her. But unfortunately, her cancer had kept coming back. But it was just such a interesting case to be the first case that I was involved in HI, because I think something in vet med that's always very interesting to me is sometimes things are exactly what they look like and sometimes they are not at all. And so you always have to take a deep breath and take a beat and take a moment to look at it and look at it again and then see, what is really going on? What can we find? And unfortunately, in the HI world, sometimes there will be horrific stories behind things. And thank heavens we're here to help in some way for all of that, right? As best as we can. And sometimes it's not that. This kitty also came in. She was very interesting because at first everyone was very angry thinking that this happened. And something that I noticed in her cage was that she came in and there were little treats. There was a very fluffy blanket and lots of little treats in the bottom of her cage. And I paused and I said, whoever brought her in really loves her. And I think it was one of those moments where it wasn't that someone was trying to hurt her by letting it be where it was. Someone really loved her and was trying very hard and had to finally ask for help. You know?
No,
and
absolutely.
So it's so interesting because it can look like something very different. And then if you pause a hot second, you realize there's probably a lot more love to that story than what it seems like. Yeah.
And it goes back to what you said earlier. Sometimes that's a gift.
Yeah.
And
really.
Which is also, I mean, why I know we want people to come to us for help. And it's not easy.
That's right.
It's not easy for people, and that's why we don't judge.
That's right. And it's a safe space to come. And we so appreciate everyone that comes in. Because every time that I walk through intake, I'm floored by the love that is in there, because whatever is bringing our friends in with their animals for help in some way, it's such a moment of love to give that gift of a new chapter. You know, it's hard to give that gift. It's really hard to give that gift, but it is such a gift. And every animal that comes into our care has a really touching story behind them and a lot of love behind them, and maybe a bit of heartbreak having to decide on a new chapter for them. I think personally for me, I think I'm always absolutely in awe of every one of our staff members, but particularly our customer care team. I think that is the one job that would be the very hardest for me. I think they carry such a kindness in how they do not judge, and they stay calm, and they can take this all in and know that they're helping and not be crushed with the weight of what they hear every day. It's hard. It's hard. I think it can be hard for all of us, but I think they particularly, they take in a lot. I so appreciate that.
I know you have tough days, and I'm sure we just talked about one, and I remember that kitty. I do remember that kitty. Very sweet kitty. and so that's just one story.
Yeah.
And you are treating how many a day? You're seeing hundreds?
Probably.
Maybe?
I think when I'm on shelter, I typically write up anywhere from easily 15 to 25 cases a day. And then when we're doing surgery, we will typically run through a good 30 to 50, depending, like on a feral Friday.
So it's a lot. It's a lot. And I know things happen. You guys have challenges. Maybe there's a day where everybody breaks with something. You know, we have a Pan-Luke, something.
Yep. Right now, Pan-Luke, we've had the pneumonia outbreak.
Giardia.
Yep.
Which is
can be so
common,
hard.
but and that's a lot for you all to deal with. How do you take care of yourself?
Yeah, I think, and I appreciate that you ask this also, because it is so important. I think that we have to really be conscious of that, to be able to remember that it is okay to take time to take care of yourself when you're taking care of everyone else. It's hard to. Sometimes we end up being the last people that get taken care of. But I think it's really important to realize what refills your bucket and make sure that you're taking care of yourself that way. And I think for me, mine typically, I work everything out going up a mountain. So I'm a big hiker. I hike. I don't I don't scale mountains, but I hike a lot. So for me, it's hiking and getting out there in nature and grounding all of that energy back. And back out. And so that's always been really important to me. When we're in rainy season, and I actually hike in the rain a lot. When they had the parks closed, let's say, during a storm or something like that, it's hard. And I've had to find ways to channel that, to dissipate that energy, to get through whatever I need to work through. as well at home. And right now I'm very blessed. This year, my son started over at MPC. And so I decided, well, I'm driving you. I have my Tuesday, Thursdays free. Let me put this to good use. So I've been taking Espanol. Finally, after 25 years of wishing I had taken Espanol. So now I am learning Spanish and taking Tai Chi and a weightlifting class there. And it's been so much fun. And so I'm finding that Tai Chi has been very, very effective as a way to ground and relax, and especially for the inside days, which is always nice to have something to do that on the inside days. I talk to myself a lot. I work through a lot going up the mountain. I used to tease that if I hadn't worked through all my worries by the time that I was done with the hike, I had to do it again. And I think, thank heavens, I never had to hike Soberanes 3 times, but when Soberanes was still that full loop, I've hiked it twice at least, multiple times.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, that's usually where I put my
That's
energy.
impressive. Yeah. That is impressive. So what advice would you give someone who's thinking about becoming a vet or who's interested in the field?
I love it. I'm so blessed that often my team will say, "Oh, Jen, call this person back." And so I get to do this actually quite frequently. And I love it. I love talking to bright, shiny, young, excited students that are thinking about going into the field. And I would say, don't listen. And I still hear it. I still hear people saying, "Oh, I can't do it because I need a 4.0. Don't listen to those people. You can do it. I'm testament to that you can find a way. And I would say my biggest advice is get out there as much as you can into the field, get different experiences in different worlds of our field. Try GP, check out a shelter, check out wildlife, check out different areas, and see what really sparks your passion. Because it's very exciting. And in our field, we are incredibly blessed that there's so many aspects to it. You know, you don't always have to set the goal on what everybody says the highest level is. You know, you don't have to, not everyone that goes into our field says, "I'm going to be a vet." Not always. I just spoke with a wonderful young woman this past week that she is undergrad at CUSMB. She's almost done. She's going to graduate next year. And she thought, she's pre-med. She did all of that hard work and she thought she was going to go into vet school. Well, she went out and she got experience and she realized, okay, I'm watching what the vets do every day. And I love what we do every day. But it is a lot of charting. It's a lot of paperwork. It's, you know, you're working with the animals also, but there's a different balance. She said, I really like what the technicians are doing. They're hands-on all day long. You are so right. Do that. Follow that dream. You don't have to think of any part of our veterinary world as lesser than or different than. We all are a team that come together, and we couldn't do it without all of those team members together. Everyone's important. And so I would say find what strikes your passion and what you think will fill your life with joy. And know you can do it. You can get there. And you will have an amazing career that will not ever have to get old, because you can decide after 10 years, oh, I need a different challenge. I built a clinic. I need a different challenge. I'm going to try, exotics. I'm going to try shelter medicine. I'm going to try something different. And we're very blessed that we do have that latitude that you can kind of redefine throughout your career. Because when we're young in our education, when we're young in our careers, we think this is going to be a linear path towards a specific one goal. And life is not like that.
No.
Life takes its turns and its
we
peaks
pivot.
And its valleys and it changes, and that there's beauty in that.
Yes.
And so just learning to let yourself find your career, let it blossom and develop. But yeah, just please do not let anyone tell you can't do it, because you can. You'll find a spot in vet med and it'll be beautiful. You just have to, get experience out there, see what you love the most and follow that. Okay.
Is there a question you wish I had asked you?
I know that's something that you do usually ask is like your secret. Is there something
yes.
secret about you?
Yeah.
Which
What
sort
is
of along
something?
the same lines, I think, perhaps, maybe, but I'm not sure. So it's very interesting, and that's part of the podcast I love the most. I'm like, tell me what about this person? And not in like a weird, creepy,
Right.
like
No,
tell
it's
me
just we
something,
want to learn something
but just
new.
in like the curiosity, what in the world is
So
that?
yes, let me
And
ask you that question then.
It's very fun. I think certain people will ask me like, what are your favorite parts? Like, what is your best thing that you've ever done in vet med? And I think that for me, I think some of the standouts are like it was so exciting when I worked for Yerkes. Working with primates is, I mean, just phenomenal.
Wow.
It's they're just so human-like. I mean, it's just amazing. So I think that being able to work with New World and Old World primates of different types has been an amazing love of mine. I think that I was able to bottle feed a baby gorilla. It's very interesting. I guess chimps, mamas will, kind of ignore their babies very commonly in shelter, in like captivity situations, right? But gorillas, no, they are very strong mamas. So they didn't really have so many protocols for how to take care of them. So we still had to be careful that they didn't transfer to us. So we had, different ways of doing that. But it was very exciting to bottle feed this sweet baby gorilla that had 2 little buck teeth, just like a little person would.
Oh my goodness.
And bottle feed them was just amazing. Martina, she was born on Martin Luther King's Day. So that was phenomenal. I was lucky in my internship that they were the surgeons that worked with Siegfried and Roy's big cats. So I was able to intubate a tiger and be in surgery teams for tigers. And that was cool. But I think it balances, because I think that just as equally amazing in my career is every single time I've been so blessed to be honored to be part of someone saying goodbye moment. I think that is probably I know it's the most important visit we ever get. And I think it is one of the most beautiful moments that I'm ever able to be with, when I'm with owners and their beloved pets and saying goodbye, or even sometimes when the owner isn't there and saying goodbye, and I can be there and transfer that love to that animal. I think that that's beautiful, and it's just as heart-filling and just sort of stunning still to me to this day. And then something that I love also so much about our team at SPCA, and then also you, particularly your podcast, bringing out so much of the diversity, equity, inclusion in our teams. And I just love that you highlight everyone and what makes us each special. Something that's really interesting, I think, for me, is that my family have the blessing and the challenge of some of the more invisible disabilities. And so it's really interesting to me that I think when we think of DEI, we always think of something a little bit more bold and noticeable, perhaps sometimes. And I think that it's been very interesting for me. And I love when I am part of teams that can recognize, whether we're looking and working with, neurodiversities or chronic illnesses, whether that's physical, whether that's emotional and psychological. I think there are so many parts of our teams that are unseen. And I think finding those ways to understand each other better and highlight the superstar amazing qualities, even though sometimes those can be really challenging,
Yes.
is really important, And so I'm very, very blessed, and I very much appreciate that we have such an open arms policy on our whole team.
Yes.
On our whole organization.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're bringing out some of these things that might, be differences that we don't know each other about each other that are really important to recognize.
So important.
Yeah. So that I love that.
I don't know if you know this. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your time
Of course,
and for
thank
everything
you.
that you do.
Thank you.
And I don't know if you know this or if you can feel this, and I don't know if our listeners will feel this, but I've been sitting here listening to you with like a lump in my throat in the best possible way, because your presence and your energy is so loving. And you're so easy to talk to and to listen to, and you bring such, I don't know, you bring, and calm is the word that I'm coming up with. Maybe that's not the right word, but I feel comfortable in it's like talking to someone I've known forever. So thank you for that. But thank you, of course, for your time and for your energy, all the things that you do for the animals and all the care that you give our team, the people.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for bringing this out to anyone who's listening as well. And I'm just so appreciative of everyone on our team, from not just the people that we work with on the daily basis, to all the teams on SPCA campus, to all of our volunteers, to all of our donors. It takes all of us. And I think that's so interesting. I think that all of the people who are sharing the love, just to take time to listen to this, all of our donors, all of just anyone that comes on campus just to visit the animals, to maybe think about adopting but not really ready yet. Just anyone that has any interaction, I think, with SPCA is sharing a bond of love throughout. And I just think that there's something really special in that circle. So I'm really appreciative to get to be a part of all of that. Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in. We would love to hear from you. If you have questions or just want to say hello, you can drop me an email at dfenton@spcamc.org. You can find more information about all of our programs and services at spcamc.org. A tremendous thank you to all SPCA staff, volunteers, and board of directors. And a heartfelt thank you to our generous supporters. We at SPCA Monterey County could not do what we do for the animals and people in our community without you. If you would like to support us, and that would be amazing, you can find that information at spcamc.org. If you like what you hear, please drop a like or give us a rating on whatever platform you listen in on. Those ratings will help us reach more animal lovers. I'm Dawn Fenton, signing off until January 2026. It has been a personal pleasure to introduce you to a place that holds such space in my heart. Thank you so much for listening, and I cannot wait for what is to come. As always, much unconditional love to you and your pets from us here at SPCA Monterey County.